Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Hot Mike. I'm your host, Bill Whittle. Went down to the hospital to tell Hot Mike about Donald Trump's election victory, which happened just a few minutes ago as we record this at pretty much midnight Pacific time. We got him out of his medically induced coma. He heard the news, reached under the table, grabbed a tumbler full of ayahuasca, and he jumped through the window. He's outside on the hospital lawn now, and he is tripping balls. Donald Trump was just reelected President of the United States of America, and the emotion I'm feeling the most is not so much a happiness or joy in his victory. The thing I'm feeling the most is the system worked. 4 years ago, we all sat there when they shut down the election process of America and watched as 5 states decided to stop counting. Now, I maintain there was nothing but nefarious designs behind that, and it's going to take a lot to convince me otherwise. But I remember especially the days and weeks after we woke up the next day to find out that what had looked like a win was actually suddenly a loss, and all of the lame excuses and all of the justifications and so on. And like so many of you, I felt like if that election was stolen, then they will have 4 years to rig the next one. We'll never see another free election in this country again. But we did. The Republican Party handled this election so cleverly, so brilliantly. When these early votes and the early voting and the mail-in voting came in consistently and steadily and wore down that early voting firewall that the Democrats had held, we made it impossible for them to cheat. And so my overwhelming emotion is not that we won an election. I would have rather lost an election this time and lost it fairly. If we'd lost and lost fairly, if the system could be counted on to be working, I'd be as happy as I am now. I'm not even happy. I'm just relieved. I'm just enormously relieved that no matter how much pressure was put on the electoral system, it managed to be strong enough to get us to the point where the machine was defeated by the people, where the insiders lost to the outsiders in such a way that they couldn't do anything about it. They just simply couldn't. It was bigger than they are. This entire studio, not just Captain Kirk and Gorn Captain and Dave Bowman on the back wall here, but all the stuff you can't see in the background, all the stuff all around here. The studio is filled with pictures of paintings by a guy named Sid Mead, who is a futurist, and he painted for General Motors. But all of these paintings that I've surrounded myself for the 10 years I've been in this building are pictures of the future that worked. These are elegant drawings. He was an illustrator for General Motors, so they're all cars, but it was a future that was clean, where everybody was wealthy. Everybody was wealthy. Everybody was happy. Things worked. Things weren't broken down. There wasn't garbage in the streets. We had nuclear-powered, motorhomes that we could tour the country, and it was a future to believe in. I grew up in the space age. I thought we would be at Saturn by 70. I thought we'd be in Mars by the mid-1980s. I've watched my entire adult life go by with nothing but less and less and less and less, as the so-called progressives told us that we can't have steak anymore and we got to eat bugs and all of the COVID tyranny and all of the just the garbage that we had to eat for the last 4 years is redeemed. And prior to this election, and prior to this evening, in fact, I had drawn enormous solace from the idea that I have come to believe very much in this idea of the fourth turning, that there are 80-year crises that happen in America. The elevator pitch for which is, in the 1780s, we fought the American Revolution, existential crisis. One human lifetime later, one seculum later, 80 years later, it's the 1860s. Oh, that's the Civil War. There's a second existential crisis. What's 80 years plus 1860s? The 1940s, World War II, another existential crisis. Add 80 years to the 1940s, what do you get? You get the 2020s. And this idea of cyclical history reassured me, because instead of it being on this inevitable decline like the Roman Empire, where we're here and there's nowhere to go but down, I started looking at history as a series of cycles and circles and so on. And I'd always thought up until very recently, just a few days ago, that the crisis of the 2020s is coming, that there's going to be some kind of a crisis that is going to be an ideological crisis. I'm sorry, I'm a lot like Winston Churchill in this regard. I don't cry when things go bad. I cry when things are beautiful. But what if this was the crisis? I mean, what if the last 4 years, what if that was it? So many times during the last 4 years, I've heard people saying, we've lost the country. It's over. The republic is gone. The voting system doesn't work anymore. We can't count on the process. It's done. We live to see the end of the American experiment. I felt that way too. I stopped feeling that way a while ago. I've been out in the country so many times, and so many times in the country, I just see how good people are. So many times here at a 7-Eleven in Los Angeles, I see people holding doors for other people. Black guys will hold doors for me when I go in. I say, hey, thanks, man. They say, hey, you're welcome. All of this stuff that we're told, all of this global warming stuff and the planet's dying and all of this endless fear-mongering and hate-mongering. What if the last 4 years was the crisis? Tonight is not victory. But I think it's Midway. I really think tonight is Midway. You know, the funny thing about the Battle of Midway, it occurred very early in the war. It was only 6 months into the war. It was only 6 months after Pearl Harbor. All of the real fighting was yet to happen. All the real dying was yet to happen. All of the grief and the casualties and the body bags at Guadalcanal and Peleliu and Tarawa, Iwo, Okinawa, the Saipan, all of it. All of that stuff was going to happen. Hadn't happened yet. All of the grief and the dying was yet to happen. But Midway, after Midway, victory was inevitable. And that's how I feel about tonight, you know. I don't just feel good about winning an election. I think that we survived the last 4 years, and I think now that winning is inevitable. I don't have a bad thing to say about Kamala Harris. I've said all the bad things I need to say about her. I don't have any bad things to say about her anymore. She's gonna live with the consequences of this and the people that run her. Joe Biden is a mean-spirited old man, and that's how he's going to die. A mean-spirited old man. I got nothing bad to say about him either, other than to call him a mean-spirited old man, and that's not an insult that is particularly novel to him. He was a mean-spirited young man. Earlier tonight in the comments section, while we were doing 7 or 8 hours of live election coverage, we had somebody appear in the comment section, and they said, I despise Donald J. Trump. I absolutely despise him. I can't stand him. I've never been able to stand him, but I voted for him because I can't stand what's happening with the state. And I said to that person, well, welcome to the family. I have a lot of problems with Donald J. Trump. What most Democrats don't understand is that virtually no Republicans, almost none of Trump's supporters, think that Donald Trump is a perfect or a great guy. We love Donald Trump not because of who Donald Trump is. We love Donald Trump because he says, let's make America great again. He loves this country. He loves the people of this country. He's been willing to give his life for the people of this country. And he came about that far away from fulfilling that promise. It's not about Donald Trump. We're not voting for Donald Trump. We didn't just vote for Donald Trump. We voted against the tyranny. We voted against the elites that have to tell us what to do. We voted against Dr. Fauci. We voted against all of these celebrities that come out and tell us how we're supposed to think. We voted against Leonardo DiCaprio getting on his private jet to go to global warming conferences to tell us to eat bugs so that the planet doesn't die. That's what we voted against. And now this movement of people away from what the Democratic Party has become, When union workers for the Teamsters vote for the Republican billionaire, they're not voting for the Republican billionaire. They're voting against the people that have spent the last 80 years worming their way into the system so that they could tell us what to do. The FAA has held back Elon Musk and his Starship program, and now we have a president who's going to appoint a new director of the FAA. As one of example among hundreds, I'm going to get to live to see this future that I thought had gone. I'm going to see it. We're going to have a Justice Department again. I don't want the government to protect me. I don't need the government to protect me. I can protect myself. What I need is a government that doesn't persecute me for defending myself. I need a government that doesn't put me in jail if I shoot somebody that comes in through my bedroom window at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's what I need. That is an appointment. It's done like that. You don't need the Senate. You don't need the House. Apparently, we've got all of them. We have 2 years to fix things, and then we have to lock the door. So, I think we should not be the people who deserve the schadenfreude, the people who deserve the scorn and the ridicule will punish themselves. Joy Behar will punish herself. Joe Scarborough will punish himself. The ones I despise, especially Jimmy Kimmel and Seth Meyer, who took late night talk shows and turned them into oh, for the love of God, the other guy. It's like forgetting Tom Cruise's name. It'll come to me in a second. Those people will punish themselves, and all of the haters will punish themselves because they're going to go nuts. I was prepared to come in tonight and spend this post-election show telling you why it's okay that we lost the election. Because the government is not the country. And that's as true now as it was if we had lost the election. The government's not the country. So I would say this. When I mentioned a minute ago that somebody came into the comment section and said, I despise Donald Trump, but I'm voting for him anyway. This is how we have to treat everybody. We have to be elegant now. We have to be friendly now. We have to be magnanimous now. The entire country is moving away from these evil, evil, evil Marxists, and we have to welcome them with open arms. This is not the time to crow loud to these people. This is the time to say, he's not what you're told he was. We're not either. Welcome. We just want freedom for everybody. We want people to be happy. We want a better future than the past. That's what we want. We need to listen to Abraham Lincoln. We have to hear that voice. With malice towards none. With charity to all. This is how we have to accept the ranks of the millions of people that just love America as much as we do and who belong to a different political party that has lost its way. We need to welcome these people with open arms, and we need to show them what we are and what we represent. I'm just overcome with big emotions like so many of you are. And it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just a guy like everybody else. It's embarrassing for me to be this openly emotional about it. But we have a chance with a president who's had 4 years to sit out all of the injustice and all of the lawfare, all of the lies and the Hitler and the Nazis and all of it. This president has had 4 years to reflect on what he did right and what he didn't do right. And when you have people like Elon Musk on his side, we have a chance for a genuine, real golden age. Towards the end of World War II, a P-38 Lightning, twin-engine airplane, superb fighter that was built right here in Burbank, California, set down on the tundra in Greenland with an engine failure. The pilot made an emergency dead stick landing. The airplane was more or less intact. He got out. Somebody picked him up in a Jeep. They drove away. The war ended, and they left that airplane out there. It's an extremely rare airplane these days. There are not very many of them left at all. And several years ago, a bunch of aviation enthusiasts realized that there was a P-38 that had been left somewhere out in the field, out in the tundra. So they went looking for it. They found it buried under a lot of ice and a lot of snow. And here are some pictures of what they found. It's just crushed wreckage. It's just a oil stain in the general shape of an airplane. Now, I don't know what the number was on that airplane. I don't think it had a name prior to being buried under all this ice 80 years ago. So just for the sake of the argument, I'm going to call it 91604. 91604, the aircraft, had been utterly flattened and completely destroyed. It was reduced to rust and broken shards of glass and rotten pieces of rubber. But they took those pieces and they put it on a flatbed truck, and these people that loved that airplane took it back and they put it in a hangar. And then what they did was they cut away every single piece of corroded aluminum, every single little square that made up the skin of that airplane. They drilled out all the rivets and they flattened it out, and they took a brand new piece of the same kind of aluminum and they cut it into that exact same shape. They took the ribs and they rebuilt those ribs out of the original material. And over the course of years and years and years of meticulous work with the toothbrush, they basically took that airplane as a template and rebuilt it. And that airplane that used to look like this now has been renamed Glacier Girl, and Glacier Girl looks like this. This ruin, this wreckage, this oil stain in the shape of an airplane now looks like it came off the factory lines 25 minutes ago. It is brand new, and it's not the same P-38. It's better. It's got GPS navigation. It's got advanced radio systems. It's got a much better safety system. It's a better airplane. So my question to you is Glacier Girl 91604? Is it the same thing? Well, that depends on how you look at it. There's not an original part on it. They had to replace everything. If they had to replace everything, is it still 91604? It's not. But it is a P-38. This is what I think is happening to the country. We're going to rebuild this country, and it's going to look better than it did before. It's going to be different, but it's going to be the same. It's going to be different materials. It's going to be made out of different people. In the same way that my body is not the same body that I was born with. My cells, not the same cells I was even 10 years ago. I am a completely new creature built on the same pattern. I think we're going to restore this country to the glory that it used to have, and I think it's going to be even better. That's what history has shown us, that every time we go through one of these cycles of crisis, when we get to the other side, the country is not only new again, it's new and it's better. Anyway, that's how I feel an hour after the announcement that Donald Trump was reelected President of the United States. I came out here tonight prepared to try to explain to you how I thought we could be good losers. I'm very happy to be able to sit here and say it's up to us now to think very carefully about how we can be good winners. Because I don't want to win just tonight. I want to win forever. I got a funny feeling it's going to happen. We'll see you next time right here on Hot Mic.